In a previous video, we saw how to define a procedure with a single for each command in its source for accessing the data in a base table and its extended table. Let's now suppose that the travel agency requires a report to show all the attraction categories, and for each category, the list of tourist attractions that have been entered. But before we solve that requirement, we will run the application to add a couple more tourist attractions. So we press F5. We execute the option called Work with Attraction, and now we enter a new attraction, which in this case will be the Christ Redeemer, located in Brazil, and specifically in the city of Rio de Janeiro. So we type Christ the Redeemer, then we select Brazil. The category here is Monument, then the image, and the city, Rio de Janeiro. Now we will enter another tourist attraction that is the Smithsonian Institute. We write Smithsonian Institute, which is located in the United States. It's a museum, so we load the museum category, we load the corresponding image, and the city, Washington, D.C. Now we can go on to define the report requested. We create a new object of procedure type and call it Categories Attractions Report. Now let's get back to see the report's contents. We want to show each category recorded, and for each category, all the attractions that belong to it. Note that we must show 3 fixed contents, and 2 contents with data we must get from the database. So we start by defining the procedure's layout, based on the requirement of what should be displayed, and then we will go on to coding the source. We open the Layout section, and we use an existing print block to add the title of the report. From the toolbox, we drag a rectangle control, and then adjust its size, and in its back color property, we select the desired color for the background. We then go back to the toolbox, and drag a text block, and in its text property we write categories and attraction report. We change the font and select bold and italics. Then we adjust sizes and type a name for the print block, title. Now we add another print block to show each category name. The name we use for this print block is categories. And from the toolbox, we now drag a control of text block type. In its text property, we write category. Next to this control, we will drag another control of the attribute variable type. We then select the category name attribute, we adjust the size of the print block, and insert another print block whose name will be Attractions Column Titles. And we add a text block which will have the text attraction name in its text property. In another print block, we add the text country name. And lastly, from the toolbox, a line underneath. To end, we insert another print block, which we will call attractions. And we include the attributes attraction name and country name. Let's now go to the source. Here we write the first instruction to print the report's title. Now let's take a minute to see where we continue. Since we have to navigate the categories, and for each of them we will navigate several attractions that belong to that category, this report is different from the one we solved before. In the previous report, as we saw, we navigated the attractions, and because every attraction has only one country, we were able to retrieve the name of the country of each attraction, because it is in the extended table of the base table we were navigating. Let's now see the following. To the extent that the information we want to retrieve is available in the extended table of the base table we're navigating, then we will be able to reference it directly in the same for each. On the other hand, when we navigate a table and for each record accessed we need to navigate several related records in another table which doesn't belong to the extended table of the table navigated, then we will need to write another for each inside the first one in order to run through the group of related records. Let's then get back to the source of our procedure and start writing the first for each command to navigate and show categories. Next to the for each, we write category. And we must recall that the base table is the name of the transaction whose related physical table we want to navigate. Then, inside the for each, we write print categories. Since the categories print block only includes the category name attribute, then GeneXus will understand that the base table of that for each is category. Inside the for each command that navigates the categories, after a category is shown, we want to navigate the group of attractions belonging to that category. Therefore, we will need to write the second for each we were referring to run through the group of attractions belonging to the category we navigate. But just before navigating the group of attractions of the category, we will have to show the titles that will be the headers of these attractions we will be showing. So we write the instruction print attractions column titles. And now we write the second for each inside the body of the first one. Then we write attraction because it's the name of the transaction whose base table we want to navigate now. And inside the for each, print attractions. Then end for to close this navigation, and again end for to close the first one. Remember that to create the report in PDF format, we must set the properties main program to true. And call protocol to HTTP, and we have to insert the output file rule. We fill out the name of the file and PDF format, and save. We will run this report by right-clicking and selecting Run. Note that all the categories we entered appear on the list, and for each category, there is a list of the attractions that belong to the category. So this is exactly what we were asked to obtain. But how did GeneXus know which attractions were to be shown for each category when we didn't add any explicit condition indicating that to our source? Even when we entered a for-each command that navigates the attractions, we never added a where clause to filter attractions that meet the condition of matching values of category identifier and that of the category we are listing. So, how was GeneXus able to retrieve for each category at the time of navigating the attraction table where all the attractions are stored, only those belonging to the category? The answer lies in the way we wrote the for-each commands. When two for-each commands are written one right after the other, then they are independent from one another. But when we write a for-each inside another for-each, this means that for each record in the first navigation, we want to run through a group of records. When we write nested for-each commands, GeneXus determines for every for-each the base table it will navigate, and then searches for possible relations existing between the base tables. In our case, the base table of the external for each is category, and the base table of the internal for each is attraction. And GeneXus knows that there is an attribute in common for the two tables, which is category ID, which is primary key in category and foreign key in attraction. So the category ID attribute causes the relation between tables attraction and category, as we can see here on the diagram, in a 1-to-n relation. This means that for each category, there are many related attractions. So, for each category navigated in the external for each, GeneXus executes the for each that navigates the attractions table, filtering only the attractions whose category ID value matches the category ID value of the category where we are positioned. It's the same as if, in the internal for each, we had written the following: where category ID equals category ID. However, we don't need to do this because GeneXus directly detects it and applies it. We've seen how easy it is to obtain information to display in a report. However, procedures are capable of a lot more, and we will see that later on. Lastly, we update the changes in GX Server.